Anyway, let's change to the world of advertising, because something pretty strange is happening there. Now, I guess we don't really expect commercials to do exactly what they say. But Red Bull did have to pay $13 million last year because the energy drink that they make doesn't actually give you wings, like the advert says it does. Now, when the Swedish retailer IKEA put up giant billboards of its hot dogs, it includes the phrase, "not actual size." Such disclaimers don't always prevent lawsuits, though. So is it that we, the consumers, are more gullible or less? And are we, in fact, less tolerant of hyperbole and exaggeration? Have we perhaps even lost our sense of humour? Jamie Gavin is with the advertising consultants in Press Online.
A lot of these kind of more traditional, grandiose claims are probably looked upon more cynically. Maybe it's the cynic in me, but I think people will look for any excuse to take people to court and look for reasons to go after big brands.
I guess also maybe there's an element of people saying, we can see through this. And I mean, I'm sure you remember a campaign here in Britain where it was all based on it does what it says on the tin. And maybe that's the direction advertising needs to go.
Yeah, it's very tricky because on the one hand, I think you do expect less tinsel to be put around products, but equally you do worry that we start to reach a point where creative license and creative endeavour is almost taken away from advertisers and brands.
Put guys like you out of a job.
To an extent, yeah. Although, increasingly one of the things that we do is kind of gatekeep what a lot of our clients want to do. So we're also becoming very aware of the potential threats and dangers and what you can and can't say. So, going out to market and saying, for example, that you're the best or the biggest, it's becoming very difficult to say that now. You've got to be a best or a biggest, and people are always going to challenge it.
Isn't it a good thing, though, if the role of an advertiser now becomes to find out what's actually good about the thing they're trying to sell and just tell you that? I mean, no more hyperbole, no more overselling. Isn't that actually a healthy thing?
Again, I'd have to sit on the fence and say it is and it isn't. Partly, one of the reasons that we're talking about this specifically about advertising is that for many, many years, there has been a lot of mis-selling in advertising. There's been a lot of misadvertising and a lot of grandiose claims have been made. So it is good that the watchdogs still do watch this sector of the market very tightly. But also, a lot of the products that you buy, if you think about technology or cars and things like that, for example, they are aspirational, and in a way, purchasing them does make you feel good about yourself as well. So I think to take the aspiration out of advertising would be to lose a little bit of the gloss off the products as well, to be honest.
Well, forgive me if I don't shed a tear, but I reckon the guys who do this, and I know you know a lot of them, they're just going to see it as a new challenge, aren't they? I mean, that's kind of what they're for.
I think so. On the plus side of that, I think people are going to start to be a lot more cautious now. We do live in a much more cynical world these days. The culture is moving towards suing and being sued for, you'd say, kind of smaller things. So I think people are going to be a lot more aware that they need to stay on the right side of the line and not make any claims that can really be construed as false at all.
Sounds quite boring, really.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's what we're talking about here. I mean, how many people actually walk into IKEA and think that if they give them 50 cents, they're actually going to get a hot dog the size of the room? And, I think to kind of remove that enjoyment factor, as I say, and that creativity and that aspiration and a little bit of the tinsel around the products, it does just make for a more boring consumer world in general, really.
Jamie Gavin.